Does it match? Oh, yes, it does. I think it does. Yes, it's a match. Oh, look. It's this lovely sort of pinkish clay sort of color. And then this is a pink, but it's almost a little salmony. Whereas this is more pink clay sort of color. I don't know. There you all are. Hi. Right on time. Do, 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 do. Yes. So it's sort of a match. I like it. It's the pale. A very pale, pastel-y pink today. It's lovely. Disney unicorn cup. I have that. And then oranges. Nom, 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 nom. Well, hi. Hello, it's Alison Arngrim in our living room again still. Hi, it's Sunday. It's Sunday. This is a good little Sunday pink bonnet and pink thing. It's very light. I like it. Okay, so it's Sunday. What else is it? June 28th. Already? Is it almost? It's going to be July. It's going to be July, like any second. I didn't even believe this is happening. How can it be July? Also, we have June gloom in California, and we are having it now. It's raining. It's raining at my house. It was hotter and all get out a couple of days ago. It is rain, which is great because I have tomatoes and like plants and things. But it is raining and miserable and cold. If you looked out the window or out the patio, you go, well, it's November, October at least, November. No, it's June, but it's about to become July, which means it'll be insanely hot again. So, it is the 28th, which means in New York and LA and a whole bunch of big cities, of course, today is the big gay pride festival. It's 50 years. It's actually today is because they always have it in June and the thing and the fair and the parade and the whatnot and the floats and the whole thing. But today is the 50 years on the 28th since Stonewall in New York. So big history. It is also National Logistics Day. I tell you, I am totally having like Logistics Day. I'm going bananas here because I have to do this, and then I have to pick up my friend's laundry and deliver groceries, and then I have someone coming over to pick up a pie because I said I was going to make pie and I made two, and then I went crazy. Okay. So logistics going everywhere, and then it is also National Paul Bunyan Day. I love Paul Bunyan and his ox. Remember Paul Bunyan with the axe? And he had the big blue ox named Babe. And I thought Paul Bunyan and Babe the Blue Ox was like the funniest thing ever. And went to, my parents drove up to Canada and we went to the Redwoods, the big Redwoods. And there was this little restaurant with a statue, an enormous statue of Paul Bunyan and Babe, his big blue ox. And they were like animatronic, like the head on the ox went he had his axes. I was 9. I thought this was like the greatest thing in the world. So I like Paul Bunyan and his ox. National Insurance Awareness Day. Now, who do you think invented that? So all of you out there who are insurance salespersons or adjusters, well, happy National Insurance Awareness Day. But you know that is important. And we're up here in the big fire zone. So yes, we got special fire insurance and we have proper insurance and everything. Insurance, it's a thing. And health insurance. All you Europeans and Canadians are going, health insurance. But we're here in America. Luckily, Bob has the kind of job where super duper health insurance. And then if I'm really stuck, this Screen Actors Guild has a health insurance. Insurance, very important. It's National Alaska Day. I've been nearly everywhere. I have not been to Alaska. I know. I have not been to Alaska. How is this even possible? But I've been to Hawaii. I've been all over the United States. There's only a couple places I haven't been. Vermont? Did I go to Vermont? I think I did go to Vermont. I have not been to Alaska. So I need to go. Gorgeous. So those are all the days it is. Now it is also Sunday. And we're in chapter 3. We're finally into happy golden years. Poor Laura, she's teaching at the school and she's having to stay with Mrs. Brewster, who hates her and is like really angry. Mrs. Brewster's got it rough. Yeah, she's in this little shanty in the middle of nowhere, not even a proper house, with a crying baby, and the husband is never home. And then her brother-in-law is next door with his 87 children. It's like, yeah, she's not happy. And then, the teacher's moving in. She's like, ugh. So she's not a happy woman to begin with. I think she may have some issues with depression, with menopause, with many, many things are going on. I don't know. But she's also just really, really unhappy. And now everything has happened at once. And so she's just really taking it out. She is taking it out on Laura, but hard. And Laura's like, help me. So there you are. Now, here we are. She's at school, but she got through the school day because luckily there was only 5 kids. And even though they were all bigger than her, they were really nice about it. So she survived day 1. So we're going to do this. Now, I know these chapters are not overly long. And I was going to go, should I do 2 or 3? I may just do 1 chapter today. I know! Because it's Sunday and I have a bunch of stuff to do. But also, as I said, Dean Butler is coming tomorrow Monday. Get Dean Butler here. Dean Butler's going to be here. Because I got to do things again. And busy girl. But I'm back like Tuesday. And coming up is a chapter where Almanzo shows up and saves the day. So, I gotta let him. Come on, I can't be cruel. I gotta let Dean Butler read the Almanzo Saves the Day chapter, right? Because that's his thing. So, I'm gonna read you chapter 3. 1 week. We did the 1 day. That was 1 day. We did first day. Now it's 1 week. As she went trudging through the snow, Laura made herself feel cheerful. Mrs. Brewster was hard to get acquainted with, Laura thought, but she could not always be cross. Perhaps this evening would not be unpleasant. Wow, Laura is such an optimist. That's really nice, though. She is giving Mrs. Brewster the benefit of a doubt. I don't know how long I would, but that's true. I probably would. I would initially go, oh, the poor lady, and try to get along. I don't know. After a few days of that, I might go, listen, put a sock in it, honey. But yeah, I might cut her the slack. She's cutting her slack. So Laura went in, snowy and glowing from the cold, and spoke cheerfully to Mrs. Brewster. But to all her efforts, Mrs. Brewster answered shortly or not at all. At supper, no one said a word. The stillness was so sullen and hateful that Laura could not speak. And she's trying. I've done that. I've done that trick. Good morning. Okay, nothing. Next day. Good morning. 2 weeks in. Good morning. Hello. Yes, okay. So, work on it. Manly Monday. Yes, it is. It's going to be another Manly Monday. Just another Manly Monday. Yes, it'll be Manly Monday tomorrow. Poor Mrs. Brewster. After supper, she helped with the work again and sat again in the darkening room while Mrs. Brewster silently rocked. She felt sick from wanting to be home. Mrs. Brewster doesn't read a book. She doesn't knit. Doesn't want to maybe she knits. Maybe she read a book. Maybe she did something. Maybe she had Pa there to play the fiddle. I don't know. Maybe Mr. Brewster's horrible to her. I don't know. But man, this is rough. As soon as Mrs. Brewster lighted the lamp, Laura brought her school books to the table. Laura won't even light the lamp or say, Mrs. Brewster, kind of like to start studying. Do you think you might like the lamp? No. She just waits till she does the thing. As soon as Mrs. Brewster lighted the lamp, Laura brought her schoolbooks to the table. She set herself lessons and determined to learn them before bedtime. She wanted to keep up with her class in town, and she hoped she could study hard enough to forget where she was. She sat small in her chair, for the silence seemed to press against her from all sides. Mrs. Brewster sat idle. Mr. Brewster held Johnny asleep on his lap and stared into the fire through the stove's open draught. The clock struck 7. It struck 8. It struck 9. Then Laura made an effort and spoke. 3 hours of complete silence. It is getting late, and I'll say good night. Mrs. Brewster paid no attention. Mr. Brewster started and said, good night. How does this woman keep this up? The silent treatment, but days and days, and she didn't talk to her husband. She didn't even talk to the baby, and she didn't talk to... Wouldn't you just go nuts? Wouldn't it be easier to just give up and talk to somebody? I don't know. Before Laura could hurry into bed in the cold dark, Mrs. Brewster began to quarrel at him. Mrs. Brewster waits for Laura to go to bed so she can fight. Before Laura could hurry into bed in that cold dark, Mrs. Brewster began to quarrel at him. Laura tried not to hear. She pulled the quilts over her head and pressed her ear tight against the pillow, but she could not help hearing. She knew then that Mrs. Brewster wanted her to hear. See, the last time they had the big fight, and she said, oh, Mrs. Brewster, she's just mad. She didn't want anyone. We're going to hate any teacher. She didn't want to put it. But now she knows it's about her. It's personal. Uh-oh. For Mrs. Brewster said she'd not slave for a hoity-toity snip that had nothing to do but dress up and sit in a schoolhouse all day. She said that if Mr. Brewster did not put Laura out of the house, she'd go back east without him. Oh, honey, is that a threat or a promise? 'Cause if I were Mr. Brewster, I'd be like, really? Can he help you pack? Maybe, yes. She would go on without him. Yay! Oh, she went on, and the sound of her voice made Laura feel sick. It was a sound that enjoyed hurting people. Ooh, what a line. It was a sound that enjoyed hurting people. You ever heard someone with that kind of voice? Ugh. Laura did not know what to do. She wanted to go home. But she must not even think of home, or she might cry. She must think what to do. There was nowhere else to stay. The other 2 houses in the settlement were only claim shanties. Well, the one you're in isn't. Yeah, okay. At the Harrisons, there were 4 in the one room. And at Mr. Brewster's brother's house, Mr. Brewster Brother's house, there were 5. They could not possibly make room for Laura. She did not really make Mrs. Brewster any work, she thought. She made her bed and helped with the kitchen work. Mrs. Brewster was quarreling now about the flat country and the wind and the cold. She wanted to go back east. Suddenly, Laura understood. Laura is so understanding. I'd be calling a cab. But Laura is understanding. She isn't mad at me. She's only quarreling about me because she wants to quarrel. She's a selfish, mean woman. She wants to go home. Maybe you should let her go home. Yeah. Mr. Brewster did not say a word. Laura thought, I've just got to bear it too. There isn't anywhere else I can stay. Someone said, my husband put a teacher in my shanty. That's true. I guess if he didn't tell me and I came home and was like, honey, we have a teacher staying here, I'd be like, what? There you go. When she woke in the morning, she thought, I have only to get through one day at a time. There you go. Now, many of you know the infamous, famous 12-step programs, the Alcoholics Anonymous, to Al-Anon, all of them, from Gambling Anonymous to whatever Anonymous you have. All of them do say one day at a time. And because it's a very sound method for getting through anything terribly difficult, learning a new habit, unlearning an old habit, learning to do anything, or even getting through something awful like being stuck in a house with Mrs. Brewster, is that to say, well, 24 hours, one day at a time. If I just get to the day, then I might make it to the end of the week. Because really, what are you going to do if you're really stuck the one day at a time? And I know people who've had to go, okay, 1 minute. 60 seconds. Yes, so, it may be that. She may be doing 1 hour at a time. But she's going to do one day at a time, that Laura. That's right, she's going to do it. It was hard to stay where she was not wanted. She took care to make no work for Mrs. Brewster and to help her all she could. Politely, she said, good morning, and smiled, but she could not keep on smiling. She had not known before that it takes 2 to make a smile. Now, you can, fake a smile. You can't, but it's true. After a few days, it's like, it does kind of like, I need a little help here. It takes 2 to make a smile. She dreaded the second school day, but it passed smoothly. Clarence idled instead of studying, and Laura dreaded that she must punish him again, but he knew his lessons. Perhaps she would have no trouble with him. Oh, she's totally going to have trouble. She's totally going to have trouble with him. It was strange that she was so tired at 4 o'clock. The second day was over. The first week would be half gone at noon tomorrow. She's counting the minutes. Suddenly Laura caught her breath and stood stock still on the snowy path. She had thought of Saturday and Sunday. 2 whole days in that house with Mrs. Brewster. She heard herself say aloud, Oh, Pa, I can't. It was whimpering. She was ashamed when she heard it. No one else had heard. All around her the prairie was empty, white and far and still. She would rather stay there in the clean cold than go into that mean house or go back tomorrow to the anxious school day. But the sun was setting, and tomorrow would rise. Everything must go on. Yeah, the weekend. Oh, the weekend. Dinner's one thing, but she's going to do the weekend with this lady. Yikes. That night, Laura dreamed again that she was lost in a blizzard. Poor thing. She knew the dream. She had dreamed it sometimes ever since she'd really been lost with Carrie in a blizzard. See? Post-traumatic stress disorder. I told you this girl's PTSD. She's still having nightmares about that blizzard. But this blizzard was worse than before. Now the stinging snow and the wind's hard blows tried to drive her and Carrie off the narrow sofa. Laura held on to Carrie with all her might for a long time, but suddenly Carrie was not there. The blizzard had got her. Laura's heart stopped in horror. She could not go on. She had no more strength. She sank down into the dark. Then Pa came driving from town. On the bobsled he called to Laura. "How about going home for Saturday, Half-Pint?" Ma and Mary and Carrie and Grace were so surprised. Mary said happily, "Oh, Laura!" Ma's whole face lighted up with her smiling. Carrie hurried to help Laura take off her wraps, and Grace jumped up and down, clapping her hands. "Charles, why didn't you tell us?" Ma said. And Pa answered, "Why, Caroline, I said I'd do a little hauling. Laura's little. Ah, ha, ha, ha." And Laura remembered how at the dinner table Pa had drunk his tea and pushed back his cup and said, "Guess I'll do a little hauling this afternoon." Ma said, "Oh, Charles." Laura had not gone away from home at all. She was there. Then she woke up. She was at the Brewsters, and it was Wednesday morning. But the dream had been so real that she still almost believed it. Pa might come to take her home on Saturday. It was like him to plan such a surprise. There had been a snowstorm in the night. She had to break her path to the schoolhouse again. The early sunshine was faintly pink on miles of pure snow, and every little shadow was thin blue. As Laura plunged and plowed through the soft drifts, she saw Clarence breaking a path for Tommy and Ruby behind him. They floundered to the school shanty's door at the same time. Now, wait, Clarence is the smart butt kid, so he's not terrible. He's just smart and likes to give the teacher a hard time. But Clarence is clearing a path for the younger children, so he's not actually a bad guy. Good. No. Little Ruby was covered from head to foot with snow. Oh, no. Even her hood and her braids were snowy. Laura brushed her and told her to keep her wraps on until the room was warmer. Clarence put more coal on the fire while Laura shook her own wraps and swept the snow through the cracks between the floorboards. The sunshine streaming through the window made the shanty look warm, but it was colder than outdoors. But soon the good stove's warmth made their breaths invisible. It was 9 o'clock, and Laura said, "School will come to order." Martha and Charles came in panting, 3 minutes late. Laura did not want to mark them tardy. They had to break their path the whole mile. It's been snowing. It's like a blizzard. So, yeah, 3 minutes. They're only 3 minutes late. They go to, fine, a little slack. A few steps in deep snow are easy and fun, but breaking a path is work that grows harder with every step. For a moment, Laura thought of excusing Martha and Charles this one time. But that would not be honest. No excuse could change the fact they were tardy. Oh, come on, they had to plow the road. They had to literally plow the road by hand to even get there. So I would give them the 3 minutes. I would give them the 3 minutes for that one. But no, "I'm sorry. I must mark you tardy," she said. "But you may come into the stove and get warm before you take your seat." "We're sorry, Miss Ingalls," Martha said. "We didn't know it would take so long." Awful. "Breaking a path is hard work, I know," said Laura. And suddenly she and Martha were smiling to each other, a friendly smile that made Laura feel as if teaching school was easy. She said, "Second reader class, rise. Pass to the front." And Ruby, the second reader class, all one of her, rose and came to stand before. "Second reader class, you," did the one person. The whole morning went smoothly. At noon, Ruby came to Laura's desk and shyly offered her a cookie. After dinners were eaten from their dinner pails, Clarence asked her to come out and snowball. Aw, they're being so nice to her. Oh, he wants to play. And Martha said, oh, please do. Then we'll have 3 on a side. Laura was so pleased to be asked and so eager to be out in the sunshine and clean snow that she went. I mean, at this point, honey, what do you got to lose? I mean, really. It's like, and so it's, who's she reporting them 32? There's like nobody that, who cares? So, yeah. Finally, she was going to go and play. Oranges. It was great fun. She and Martha and Ruby fought against Charles and Clarence and Tommy. The air was full of snowballs. Clarence and Laura were quickest of all, dodging and scooping and molding the snow with their mittened hands and throwing and dodging again. Laura was glowing warm and laughing when a great burst of snow exploded in her eyes and her open mouth and plastered her whole face. Oh, that's mean. Oh, gee, I didn't mean to, she heard Clarence saying. Oh, Clarence, come play with us. Come play with us, teacher. We won't even think of you as a teacher. It'll be lovely. You'll play with your students. Ha, 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 I just hit you in the face with a snowball. Clarence's trouble. Yes, you did. It was a fair hit, Laura answered, blindly rubbing her eyes. Here, let me stand still, he said. He took hold of her shoulder as if she were Ruby and wiped her face with the end of her muffler. Aw. Thank you, Laura said, but she knew that she must not play any more. She was too small and too young. She would not be able to keep her pupils in order. She'd play games with them. Also, Clarence, did he lure her out there to go, ha, hit the teacher with a snowball? But then he cleared the snow off her. Remember, Clarence is like, what, 16, 17? Clarence is getting flirty pants with the teacher. No, can't do, no, Clarence, no, stop. That very afternoon, Clarence pulled Martha's hair. Her brown braid whisked across his desk as she turned her head, and he caught it and gave it a tug. Clarence, Laura said, do not disturb Martha. Give your attention to your lessons. He gave her a friendly grin that said as plainly as words, all right, if you say so, I don't have to. To her horror, Laura almost smiled. It's that saucy thing. He's saucy. But barely in time, she kept her look stern. Now she was sure that she would have trouble with Clarence. Oh, yeah. Wednesday was gone. There was only Thursday and Friday. Laura tried not to expect that Pa would come for her, but she could not stop hoping. It would be so like Pa to come and save her from a miserable 2 days in Mrs. Brewster's house. But, of course, he did not know how miserable it was, right? There's no time for a letter, and there's no phone. She must not expect him. But surely he might come if the weather were good. If he came, there were only 2 more evenings to endure, and then Friday night at home. Still, she did not expect him. She must not, or she'd be so disappointed if he did not come. They were missing her at home, she knew. If the weather were pleasant, surely he would come. But Friday morning the sky was stormy, and the wind was colder. And she's just guessing. I mean, Pa has no idea. It's not like she's phoning them. It's not like they have any idea. It's not like anyone from the town has come to visit them to say, wow, it's really horrible over there. They're going, she's probably having a blast. Bet she's having so much fun and making friends. I bet she and Mrs. Brewster are baking cookies together. They don't know. So, no, why? Why would he come running out? He's like, I'm so proud of her. Gosh, it's great. I bet the Brewsters are lovely people. Because they don't know. They have no idea what's happening out there. Poor girl. All day at school, Laura listened to the wind, afraid that its sound would change to a blizzard's howl, and the shanty suddenly shake and the window go blank. The wind blew colder through the cracks. Its sound rose. From every drift, the snow scudded across the prairie. Laura knew now that Pa would not come. 24 miles in such weather was too much for the horses. Oh, how am I going to get through the time till Monday, Laura thought. Wretchedly, she turned her eyes from the window and saw Charles sitting half asleep. Oh, he's the one who's a little slow. Sister takes care of him. Suddenly he jumped, wide awake. Clarence had jabbed his arm with a pin. Laura almost laughed. But Clarence caught her glance, and his eyes laughed. She could not let this pass. Clarence, she said, why aren't you studying? I know all my lessons, he replied. She did not doubt it. Clarence learned quickly. He could keep up with Martha and Charles and have plenty of idle time. Oh, there you go. So it's not the dumb kid like Willie is making trouble. It's the smart kid is making trouble. Which is like, and he's technically older than her. Yikes, yikes, yikes. We will see how well you know your spelling, she said. She tapped upon her table. Third spelling class, rise, come forward. The shanty trembled in the wind. At that very moment, the wind howled louder around it. Heat from the red-cheeked stove melted the snow that was blown through the cracks and made wet streaks on the floor. Clarence correctly spelled every word that Laura gave him, while she wondered whether she should dismiss school early. If she waited and the storm grew worse, Charles and Martha might never reach their home. It seemed to her that the wind had a strangely silvery sound. She listened. They all listened. She did not know what to make of it. The sky was not changed. Gray, low clouds were moving fast above the prairie, covered with blowing snow. The strange sound grew clearer, almost like music. Suddenly, the whole air filled with the chiming of little bells. Sleigh bells. Santa Claus has come to rescue her. What? Everyone breathed again and smiled. 2 brown horses swiftly passed the window. Two brown horses swiftly passed the window, and Laura knew them. They were Prince and Lady, young Mr. Wilder's horses. Dun, 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 dun. The sleigh bells rang louder and stopped. Then a few bells shook out small tinkles. The brown horses were standing close outside the south wall in the shelter of the shanty. Laura was so excited she had to steady her voice. The class may be seated. She waited a moment and then, you may all put away your books. It's a little early, but the storm is growing worse. School is dismissed. Almanzo! Remember, he built the cutter. The cutter that could go across ice and snow. Not just a little sleigh. A cutter that could get out there like a boat. And those horses, I mean, he races them. Those are tough horses. Remember, those are the horses that chased an antelope? I mean, these horses don't care. And it's Almanzo. This is Almanzo who went 20 miles there and 20 miles back, 40 miles in a deadly blizzard that had stopped the train. And he went 40 miles with Cap Garland and brought back the wheat. 12 miles in my cutter. Beefsteak. He has come to rescue Laura and take her home. And I would read Sleigh Bells, chapter 4, but this is literally Almanzo arrives and scoops her up and takes her away. And I am going to be a good girl and let Dean Butler do it tomorrow on Manly Monday. I know it was short. So tomorrow is Manly Monday, and I love you all. And again, yes, wash your hands, wear your mask, do your thing. And yes, it's we're in California, and yeah, the governor and the mayor just said, it's getting weird again. We opened some things, now we gotta close some things. Okay, Disneyland was gonna open. Disneyland's not gonna open. Okay, we opened some bars, and you shut that back. So we're going woo because sadly, this is what germs do. Sorry, it's germs. Germs don't care. Germs don't care what we want, and we think we've got this one. No, we don't. Oh, wow. So it's gonna be weird for a while. Things are gonna be weird for a while, but I'll be here, and Dean Butler will be here, and there's more books. Oh, there's more books. Don't you worry. There's more books. So take care of each other and have a good time. And Dean will be here tomorrow, and I'll see you Tuesday. So